fine. No problem.
Okay, happy Monday. Uh, we're here to start your week with Chris. Is baby Juniper around?
She's downstairs right now with her mom, but she'll probably be up
Okay.
here in a little bit.
You're glowing. I like your glow.
Right. Every last few days we've streamed, I've got this sun like shining through the window right there. It makes it look like I'm. It gets really bright sometimes. It starts to look like I'm like ascending into heaven or something.
Yeah. Because um, so what's up? What's new?
Not much. I'm right before the stream here. I was just doing my e-check-in for my doctor's appointment on Thursday, and um, I I cooked a little bit this morning, and that's about it. I haven't really done much. Yesterday was pretty low key after the stream. Didn't do much then either. But yeah, it'll be a big week once the doctor's appointment comes along. But until then, it's pretty much just kind of treading water like it has been. So I thought I did something to make that booming sound. I don't know what I did.
I'm uh, I'm putting it on social media real quick.
Sure.
Yeah. Like I was telling you earlier, I had stopped by Jim Bob's stream on the way up here just to kill time, and um, Andrew was on there, and they were talking about gender, and he was actually making a lot of sense, and I gave him a compliment, which never goes well, and it got into the subject of gender fluidity and um well, Andrew's point was the gender fluids, the bimodal gender is bimodal. So he said if you take a set of traits like empathy or aggression or whatever, and you map them out and you say if you have this percent of traits, your gender is male or female, whatever. He said he considers biology a trait as well that constitutes at least 51% significance. So that alone as a trait would mark somebody's gender as being one or the other. So I totally agree with that. That makes complete sense. That's already what we do now.
I would say
And
so. I'd say
then,
biology is probably more than 51%, but yeah,
yeah, but just even giving them the 51%, that
yeah,
to make his point, that's already the trait that we use to that we map gender onto. So we don't even need all these secondary traits because that one is so prominent. And then Jim Bob started talking about gender fluidity, um, saying that if gender is innate, if it's something about your nature that you discover, kind of like homosexuality, once you discover you're gay, that doesn't really change. It's something that's just innate in you that's there for life.
yeah.
That what is gender fluid? Like how can you discover a nature and then have it change? And I made the point that our natures do change. Like we all change through time. And then they started saying stupid shit like, well, are you saying you're not the same person that you were when you're 12 years old? Oh, did the Jeff that just typed this, now you're suddenly a new Jeff 2 lines later? You could go to court and tell the judge that wasn't me that committed the crime. My nature changed. So they got ridiculous with it. But I think they missed my larger point. And I also think it gets into semantics about what constitutes nature or what I'm talking about when I say our nature changes. I'm not talking about our essential self or our essential identity, but I don't think that's what people are identifying gender as either when they say they've discovered their gender. Yes, there's something in us that doesn't change. There's a continuity to us that throughout time from one age to the other. But there is something in us that also does change, and that was my point. And whether you call that our nature or part of our nature, like none of us know who we really are at any given moment. And we're always learning new things about ourselves and discovering new things and changing. Sometimes we will those changes. Sometimes they happen as reaction to life events. Sometimes they happen spontaneously, but we're not this static being that's the same as we were 30, 40 years ago. So that's the discussion
Sure.
that I tried to get into with them and got off the rails pretty quickly. And then they're all thumping their chests like they knocked my argument down and used the superior logic and philosophy to which when I don't think they even understood it to begin with.
doesn't even sound like you're really arguing with them much. It sounds like they were inventing things for them to argue with.
Yeah, well, that's what they do. And I don't dislike Jim Bob, and I think a lot of times I think Jim Bob, whatever his flaws are, I think he makes a very sincere attempt to be philosophical, to understand the philosophy behind something. I do think he's conscientious and rigorous about philosophy. And Andrew, I think, tries to be when it serves him, and then sometimes he plays fast and loose with it when it serves him, and goes on these rhetorical
Yeah, I
floors.
definitely see it with Andrew. I've never. There was a bad echo, by the way, on your side.
Shit. All right, let me change my sound first.
Okay.
See if that helps. Did it go away?
Sounds. Yep, that got rid of it.
I hope it didn't echo the whole time I was.
No, it
saying
was
what I
only
just said.
echoing when I talked, not when you talked. Yeah, it was only echoing whenever I spoke. So, no, I've to say I only time I ever saw Jim Bob at all. I've never even been to his channel. I only saw him that stream that was it like was TCPS did a stream reacting to something of his the other day. And
Oh, yeah.
it's the first time I'd ever seen Jim Bob. I didn't really watch that much of it either. Not that it was bad or anything. I just didn't know what was. It felt like there was context I was missing, so I didn't really watch that much. And Andrew, but yeah, you're absolutely right about Andrew. He definitely does that. He can both. Sometimes I feel like he plays. He almost like someone playing devil's advocate kind of thing. Like he'll go into pick a side and just go with it really voraciously, whether or not he even believes it or not. Sometimes I don't know. Like maybe just for the sake of debating. I mean, he did start a debate channel after all, so I suppose he does like debating.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he has that big giant ego he has to defend. So he gets into some defensive maneuvers sometimes over logic.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. Like, it's one of those things though. Like where like, I don't know. Explain to me again what your point was that they got upset about, because I'm not hearing anything that disagrees with them. So
I wouldn't say they got upset. I don't think they were upset. I'd say they got kind of foolish with it.
Oh, okay.
My point was that our nature, their point was like, once you discover a gender, how do you have something like gender fluidity? If gender is innate and you discover it at some point and you realize, oh, I'm this, how does that change if it's that innate? Like, how does something that innate change? And my point was not necessarily about gender, but about our nature in general. There are aspects of our nature that do change over time. That was my only point.
Develop and evolve. Yeah, there's really nothing to argue with there. Everybody adapts to things, our natures. Some people can start out very meek and then, due to various circumstances, become very bold. It just depends on, the way things that happen to you and the way you react to those things. The way you choose to react to those things is what's going to define your nature. So, but yeah, something like being gay or something like that's probably a little bit more innate than that. But that seems more like something that do you feel like you didn't start out being gay, or I mean, you think you always were? Or, I mean,
yeah, I always was. I didn't know what it was until I hit puberty, and then that's when the light bulb went off. But the signs of it were there even before that.
Sure, that's what makes sense to me. I just didn't know if I was misunderstanding something about your take on that. Yeah, because I mean, I don't know. I've wondered before, I mean, do you think, I know you are gay, but do you feel like being gay is a fully natural thing? Do you think it's something that happens because of environmental issues or anything like that?
It's completely natural.
That's what I've always thought.
It's just a preference or taste, like whatever.
Yeah.
There's the theory of biological imprinting when we're very early. Our sexual preferences get imprinted on us, but that probably happens through some natural innate process that interacts with the environment. And it probably happens pre-consciously too, like before your earliest memories begin.
Yeah, people always try to conflate trans with the same thing as the the LGB or whatever, and I've never understood that because like they're completely different phenomenons. That I mean, trans ideology, everything about it seems to be rooted in mental illness, and I've never felt that way about any gay friends I've ever had. I've never felt they
Well,
were
gay did used
crazy
to
or
be.
mentally ill. I
They
know they
used
used
to
to
think
think of
we
it that
were.
way, but I've
But
never gotten that sense from any gay person I've ever talked to. I met some that I thought were crazy, but not because they were gay. They say that.
gay describes an attraction or a taste or
Yeah,
a preference, and gender describes an inner feeling or sense of identity. So they're two different categories.
yeah.
And you can be both. You can be trans and attracted to the same gender, or trans and attracted to the opposite. So they're not even mutually exclusive.
I know. I just I've never understood how those things even got conflated in the first place. How'd we ever get there? Because I think they just kind of like I think the maybe like the LGBT activist community kind of absorbed the T into it because they felt they were another marginalized community, so they might as well kind of thing. But yeah, it's really
Well,
ridiculous.
we were all supposedly oppressed in the same way at the time, but that was lack of, and there weren't a lot of T's around, really. Like there may have been a handful in any given community at any given time, but we were oppressed by the same, is it heteronormative, of marriage. So we were excluded from the institution of marriage. And I guess trans people really weren't. If they transitioned, then they could marry
No,
a heterosexual
never.
person.
That's what I never understood. They're like that, especially once gay marriage was legalized. That would have been the last thing that they technically could have been
Right.
excluded from too.
That's what happened is after marriage got legalized, all of these organizations and the infrastructure that we had built up had nothing to do. And so to keep the funding going and to keep they shifted their mission to the trans, and then the trans came in and filled in all of the containers that we had created. And,
Even though
but
they only have
their
two
struggle is
issues.
different from ours. They're struggling against something called cis normativity, not heteronormativity.
Yeah. And they're also their only two struggles are with bathrooms and sports, so it's not really.
Yeah, and I guess medical care, like what age do you get access to medical care, and then like the pronoun stuff. Like that's another big difference between us and the trans is we never demanded anything from, we demanded tolerance and to be left alone, like the freedom to live our lives. We didn't demand any kind of performative etiquette or pronouns, or people didn't have to talk a certain way to make us feel included or accepted or validated. They didn't have to change anything about what they did. The trans need society to do something before they can feel accepted or included, and we never had any kind of demand like that.
Yeah, just the marriage thing pretty much. I don't think that was ever unreasonable. I never understood what the fucking big deal it was anyway. It's like marriage is if you've ever gone to Las Vegas or anything, like that there you can see how cheap marriage can be, like there's
Yeah.
drive-through wedding chapels and shit. So it's like it's like yeah, the sacredness of marriage, it's so sacred that you can do it in a drive-through. So yeah,
Well,
it's
but
like
there's that's religious marriage versus secular marriage. This is what I debated with Andrew, and
right.
the religious argument is that marriage is sacred. But then tell that to the U.S. government that instituted secular marriage whenever they did, because that's nothing to do with secular marriage. Existed way before gay people wanted to be included in it. So if their argument is there should be no secular marriage at all because it's sacred and only the churches should administer it, that conflict preceded anything to do with gay rights.
Yep.
Their argument is not with us.
Nope. I just never understood the big push against the gay marriage thing, but it's whatever it's just anything to fight against something for most people. Just like with the activists that have to find something new to activist for, and it's just like the same thing on the Christian right. I guess they always have to find something.
Yeah. Back in the day, like in the 90s, I guess there, and it was very few people, at least very few people I know. Um, it was a sense that you were corrupting something that was special to a man and a woman, not necessarily straight people, but the idea of male and female, like that archetypal ideal. And accommodating that to two males or two females, there was something that degraded it somehow, or it was a degeneration from an ideal.
their argument is usually that the purpose of marriage is for raising families, and since gay people can't, get naturally pregnant, therefore they shouldn't be having children, therefore they shouldn't need the institution of marriage. And I still think, like, well, if that's your problem, then you need to be fighting against the secular marriage thing, like you just said anyway, because like that's what's cheapening marriage. Because like I think that the other argument I've heard that's it's semi compelling in a sense, but not if you think about it for more like 5 seconds, is that people have pointed out that marriage rates have been on decline ever since gay marriage was legalized, and I don't know
It's
if
not
those two
our
things
fault.
are.
The
Yeah, I
heterosexual
know it's
marriage
not.
rates, that's not our fault.
I know it's not. I don't conflate those things. I'm saying that I've heard the argument before, and I mean, you could say that there's like it's something where like basically that straight people they don't feel as special about it anymore since gay people get married. They just don't want to get married now. It doesn't make any sense. It's just stupid.
I thought it
But
was the women that were so empowered now they don't feel like they need marriage,
it probably is more of that. I've just heard people
which
make
has
that
nothing to
argument.
do with gay people, whether we're married or not, and
I
where it
agree.
feels special. It doesn't
I'm
feel
just
special to
saying
them at
those are just
all
the arguments
because
I've heard.
it's framed as something negative. It's like a prison.
I know. I've heard
And
many stand-ups talk about make jokes about the fact that they didn't really want marriage to get legalized for gay people because then they would be expected to get married and they didn't really want to do that and stuff. That's funny.
the child argument was really, that wasn't even a major argument because they had plenty of childless straight couples and nobody really cared about them or bothered
Yeah.
with them.
Well, that's the argument that like Matt Walsh and I think even I've heard Andrew make a similar argument like that before. So.
Andrew's argument, as near as I can understand it, because I tried to get him to clarify it like 10 or 20 times and he never would, was that it has a corrupting influence on Christians. So like homosexuality itself draws Christians away from their religion. And I tried to get him to make that connect. Like, how does me being gay affect somebody practicing their Christian religion?
Because you damn gays are so damn sexy that it just tempts all the Christians away from God, It's just
And he but he also made the argument that I mean he has this belief that you can turn someone gay. Like also, so that plays part of it too. Like if you expose them to the right media or propaganda or porn or whatever, that a straight person can start to become gay, and that's just not the case.
That's so stupid.
So he's arguing from ignorance.
If that was the case, then I've been around hung out with so many gay people and large groups of gay people, even over in all the wrong circumstances too, and I've never become even slightly gay. I've just never been attracted to a dude. Have been, just like a lot of gay men have never been attracted to a woman. I've never been attracted to a dude.
Right. It would
deal.
work in reverse just as much. And conversion therapy doesn't work. We know that.
Yeah.
I've never been attracted to. I've been around women my whole life. Probably more women than men. I've never been attracted to them.
I mean, and I'm sure there's plenty of gay men that might be bisexual or something that might be attracted to both. I'm sure that exists. But it's not that they're becoming straight or becoming gay. They've just always been attracted to both,
Yeah.
It's just silly to me. I mean, I've heard stories, from gay guys that, that went through they had girlfriends and stuff when they were teenagers because they weren't comfortable with it or whatever.
The beards,
yeah,
the mask.
Yeah. So I know there's guys that they didn't really, but I think people like Andrew, they see that and think like, well, they got turned gay or became gay or something. Like, no, they were always gay. They just or they were bi anyway. So I mean, it's just not I just see the big deal is like it does just the same way it doesn't matter to me with like it's like one of those things that like people act like you have to like know this about somebody, but there's only a very, very small percentage of interactions I've ever had with people where I need to know their sexual preferences, and that's usually in a potential dating scenario. The fact that someone is gay or straight does not enter into it, unless it comes up in conversation or something like that, which is fine. It never shocks me, never bothers me, but like I just don't understand like why that has to be part of like our name badge these days. It needs to like list your pronouns and your sexual preferences.
Because it's a political affiliation. It's signaling
a
political stance.
It's just silly.
Yeah,
It
I
just
think so too.
it encourages bigotry too. It just encourages it so much by putting those labels and boxes around people. It just encourages people to feel like they're not a part of your tribe.
I
So
mean, I fought my whole life for us to not need those, like to grow past them where we don't even need them anymore. And I feel like we're going backwards.
yeah, well,
They've
and I
never
think
been less significant, and it's the gay, not necessarily the gay, but the TQ that are keeping it alive, like keeping that division going.
yeah, I mean it. I think there's also the fact of it that I don't know that. I wonder how many activists in the gay community and stuff, if they were aware of how much less people would care about the fact they were gay once gay marriage became legalized, and it just kind of like it fully integrated, quote unquote, that identity into culture in a way where people just stopped. It's like they couldn't really upset people anymore as much. There's some, because there's plenty of good activists on that side, but there's also a lot of them that were just provocateurs that they enjoyed the attention of upsetting people, of upsetting like the stuffy Christians and stuff like that. They enjoyed like scaring them with their gayness and stuff like that. I knew guys like
Yeah,
that told me they did that kind of shit. Like they
and a
kind of
lot of those
troll
were the
troll.
queer activists,
Yeah.
like Queer Nation and ACT UP.
And so like whenever the gay marriage got legalized, it's like it was almost the dog that caught the car kind of thing. They didn't really know what to do with it now. Now they got everything they wanted, and it's like, well, shit. Now what do we do? Like, are we just go?
Yeah, they also lost the spotlight at that
Yeah,
moment too,
exactly.
and we have that many drama queens needing a stage.
I feel like the importance of things like coming out and everything had slowly kind of just gotten less and less intense. Like people just started realizing they didn't need to do that anymore. They could just be gay or be straight. It didn't have to be a party. And then after the gay marriage thing, they started pushing things like really hard about making sure people have big dramatic coming out things. And of course, TikTok encourages all those kind of things a lot too. So you know, just
People
like
still come out. That blows my mind. That like like young kids are still they
mhm,
still struggle. Like, how do I come out to my parents, or how do in this day and age, people are still having to come out.
I know it's weird. I think like if either of my daughters turn out to be gay or something like that, I mean, I hope they will know by the time they get to that age that you know they can just be whatever they want to be. They don't have to like they don't do. I mean, I'll approve of them no matter what, but they don't need to get my approval. They don't need to announce it beforehand. I doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, if they want to tell me, that's fine, but it doesn't need to be a thing.
Yeah.
It's just not a big deal. Like I've told Lindsay before, I almost kind of like, especially with my oldest daughter. I mean, the youngest one isn't old enough to worry about that kind of thing with, but but with Clover, she's about to turn 16 this week, and I've always told Lindsay like I almost hope she's gay because I don't want to deal with teenage boys.
Oh, well,
I don't really. It was a
isn't
joke,
that
but
kind of a stereotype too, though? If she's gay, if she's lesbian, then you won't have to deal. Well, you might. That might be closer to teenage boy.
I mean, me like she would be more like a teenage boy, I guess. I don't know.
But then
I know
that's
there's
kind of a
plenty of
stereotype.
feminine lesbians out there too, so I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, there are.
I've always gotten along better with lesbians than I have just about any other kind of
I've
person.
never
But
really had any lesbian friend. That was always missing.
really,
I never had any. Like as an adult, I found one or two here and there, but growing up gay, I could never. There were never. I never like all these gay people had close lesbian friends, and I never really had that until I got older.
I
I
was
had
good
one
friends.
friend that was bisexual, but she dated mostly men.
Well, that's true. I had a friend that I thought, and everybody, because people had told me that she was gay, and she dressed and acted kind of dykey and stuff like that. Not in a bad. I don't mean that in an insult. I just mean like that style of like the short hair, the kind of like way she dressed and stuff like that. And she was a really good friend of mine, and I got along with her really well. And then, like the last time I saw her, this girl disappeared from my life suddenly. She was a good friend of mine, and she disappeared right after this. But the last time I saw her, she like told me that she'd had a crush on me for all these years, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like,
She was gay?
well, she literally had girlfriends. Like, no one had ever, and apparently she was bi the whole time, and just,
Oh.
so I just it kind of freaked me out, and I was like, I really
Oh,
liked her, and thought she was a good friend of mine. So I was like, I wasn't just gonna like outright reject her or anything, and I was like, like, I know you're going this trip, and when you get back, we'll talk. And she never came back. She didn't die
She never
or
came back
anything.
from her trip?
She went on a trip to visit some friend in Austin, and I guess she ended up just like staying there.
Oh.
She met somebody or what, but yeah, she just ended up moving there. So I never heard from her again. It's pretty crazy. Talking about us again? Oh,
But Patty is, I think she's of that persuasion.
I didn't know. So yeah, which is fine. But yeah, I guess we're talking about you again, though.
Yeah.
One of my best friends at Amazon here, whenever I was working in the warehouse, was a lesbian girl. That she was really short, petite girl. That she was just really cool. Like, we got along really well. She was we were both kind of like assistant, or like whatever the level in Amazon is, as you become kind of more of a manager type thing above the thing. We both worked in those areas together. She was, I mean, I've always got along really well with gay people, lesbians, whatever. I've known a few trans people too. I mean, I've never had problems with any of them. I just don't. It's just so
Yeah,
weird
me
the way
too.
the
Me
cultures
neither.
change.
But none of them were telling me how to talk or calling me transphobic for not using the pronouns they demand.
None of them
Misgendering and dead naming was not a thing. No, none of them cared. None of them pretended like they weren't this biological person before they transitioned. There's so much fantasy role play that it's wrapped in nowadays.
I thought a lot of the autogonophilia stuff too.
That too, which if that was around, we didn't know it as that when I was coming up.
Yeah, I never saw any trans people back in the day that were like walking around with a full-on beard or something like that. At least they wouldn't consider them trans. They call themselves a cross-dresser.
Most of them were
transvestite.
drag queens. Like that's
Drag
most
queens,
of where you saw the trans,
But-
and then some of them would live in drag like 24/7.
I knew a lot of drag queens that they just did it in shows here, but they
Yeah.
always, I mean, they passed when they were doing drag. Like, you never
Some
know.
of
They were really good drag performers too. But yeah, I'm sure, like, I probably did see or meet a couple of them. Maybe that did like the whole like gender bending thing, like having a beard and shit like that. But like, I think mostly it's people like the Mulvaneys and Jeffrey Marshes of the world that give people like that such a bad rap anyway, though, because like they're just the most obnoxious, annoying kind. Jeffrey Marsh, I think, is actually worse than Dylan Mulvaney. He just never got the traction Mulvaney did.
Jeffrey
Marsh
Marsh is creepy. Like
He's
he could make
creepy,
a
yeah.
good horror movie villain. Dylan Mulvaney gets on my nerve like fingernails on a chalkboard. He's the one
yeah.
that gets under my skin more.
They do both vaguely seem like someone who would wear someone else's skin, don't they?
Yeah, Jeffrey Marsh more so probably. And
Definitely.
but the gender bending thing really though is aimed at cis normativity, and that really wasn't a thing in my generation at all. It was heteronormativity. So nobody was trying to, what do they call it? The gender binary, or like
Trying to
deconstruct.
decolonize our minds, man.
Yeah, nobody. Gender was not the oppressor. Heteronormativity was, and so the gender bending is kind of this new wave or this new generation where they see gender itself as oppressive, not necessarily heterosexism.
Hi there. There she is.
Hey,
Hi.
baby Juniper.
Yes, so
Ooh, I like her shirt. Is that a rainbow? We're talking about
Hi.
gays.
Oh, look. That's him talking.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Boo!
she could hear you. She freaked
Boo.
out. She was like, "Where'd that voice come from?"
Hey, baby.
Hi, dear. Wait.
I like your shirt.
What does it say? It says.
Is that the Care Bears?
No, it's just something. I don't know if it was one that got sent to us, or it's like a pack of onesies, and this one doesn't even make sense. It says, "You are my happy." Just you are my
Happy?
happy. You're my happy.
Happy?
Yeah.
You
like,
are
not
my
you.
happy.
That's what it says on the shirt.
It sounds like
came
a
in
bad
pack.
Japanese translation or something.
That's what I was thinking too. But I think it's actually Gerber. It's a Gerber onesie. Her grandma sent us like a 5-pack of them, and it's one of them that's in there. And
Oh,
I don't know. All the rest of them have like if they have phrases on them, it just says things like sunshine or something like that. It doesn't really say anything like too specific. But this one just it sounds like it's bad Chinese translation. Or my old boss used to say is call it Chinglish, which I'm sure is offensive to many people, but so. Probably not as offensive as the more racialized one, which was Chingrish, which he used to say as well. But I used to work for this e-cig company that back before vaping was common at all. It was like an online only thing, and we got all of our stuff from China. And so all the stuff came with these instruction manuals that made no sense. They were been translated from one language into another language into Chinese into English, and so like they were just like gibberish nonsense. And that's where all that came from. He was always very. There were some funny ones, but I can't remember what anymore. Yeah, I agree that's definitely Jeffrey Marsh, and they're definitely attention horse. That's true.
I'm sorry, Dill. Every time I look at him, I see boy. I see little gay boy.
Yeah, he's never. I don't think he's ever really tried to pass.
I don't know how much he spent on his facial surgery, but I don't see
wasn't
woman.
worth it. Nope. He doesn't even vaguely pass. Even whenever he's fully done up, he just looks like a crossdresser. He just looks like someone. I mean, like I said, I've seen drag queens that pass really well just from makeup and stuff like that, and never took any hormones or anything. But not Marsh.
It's the Adam's apple and the voice that usually give it away for me. Mostly the voice, because you can even hide an Adam's apple with the right.
With him,
outfit
it's not his voice as much as it is his face.
Yeah,
he stands. He acts like a girl doing an impression of a girl. I mean, a guy doing an impression of a girl, like a guy doing a bad stereotype of a girl. That's what he acts like. He just carries himself like what a bad stand-up from the '80s would have done when they were doing an impression of a woman shopping or something like that. You know, it's very insulting and it's very diminutive. What do you got? Yeah.
Well, that's why I wonder, like, if and when drag is ever going to become woman face.
Yeah.
And banned. There's a whole history of drag that they're going to have to memory hole.
I don't think that's going to happen though.
I don't
Unless you think that the trans activists are going to go after drag queens.
Well, it to me would be the feminist, if anything, like the women that are offended by. Because the trans, I don't think it serves them to not see it as woman face because it allows them to socially transition.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't see that happening. I don't think drag's going anywhere. Although the only way it's going anywhere is to keep pushing it with like the whole bringing kids up into their sexualized. I mean, drag these days is a lot more. The drag shows I saw whenever I was younger, like they weren't anything like the shit I've seen clips of recently. Like they were just kind of like body comedy acts more than anything. There's a guy doing like the drag queen like persona and being kind of.
It was camp. It was either camp
and funny. It was funny.
It was pageant where they were trying to project the illusion of an actual woman, or it was camp. But those
it's very similar to like Hedvig or something like that. Like the whole like the scenes where he's doing his shows and stuff like that. The way you talk to the audience, there's a lot of like the real body kind of. But it'd have a lot of innuendo. And it would be sexual in terms like but it would be clever. It wouldn't just be just like thrusting in the air and stuff like that. It wasn't like that. It was just kind of clever stuff. I used to think it was pretty funny myself, but. Even the Drag Race show wasn't all that bad back when it started. I think it's gotten a lot more woke. It seems
some of the it has gotten. Although RuPaul sometimes he keeps it in check a little bit. But one thing I noticed on Drag Race is that there are more and more trans people on it now, and you can't tell the difference visually. They all look like the same queens, but now some of them are identifying themselves as trans instead of gay or male.
Right. Which I think is a little. I mean, I think in some ways, I think maybe the drag community maybe embraced that at first, but now anymore, it seems like it's almost like a race because like drag culture is very different from being a trans person, right? Because like there's a culture around the drag thing, because a drag queen isn't really a man doing an impression of a woman. It's a man doing an impression of a really specific kind of woman, or this idea of a woman, this cartoonish, over the top, kind of like like bigger than life kind of character. It's this very diva-ish thing. There's a lot of humor in it, a lot of comedy, a lot of pageantry and like showmanship type stuff. And being trans is just trying to live as the other sex or gender. So
Yeah.
you know I don't see why those things need to be conflated. It's just I feel bad for some like the drag queens and stuff I knew like that I feel like their whole like their kind of cultural thing is kind of getting erased by the trans activism stuff. And a lot of this stuff like the recent pride parade stuff, like this really wildly sexually explicit stuff at parades and all this other shit. It's
And
just
these are the same people that don't want kink, like gay leather kink in the parades, but they'll let the drag queens get up there and
Yeah.
do all of their sex antics.
Which, like, is once again that it's not like it's always people try to act like online when people complain about it. So they're like, "Oh, it's always been this way. You just weren't around."
Well, it kind of
I've been to
has.
pride parades.
It,
Oh, okay.
There's a really good article out there on the history of sex and kink at pride parades, and they have traced it almost from the very first pride parade. There's been children involved, there's been sex involved, there's been kink involved,
Well, maybe
and
that's
there's
bad.
been debates. There's been all sides of the debates around this topic from the beginning. We're just seeing it on like hyper mode.
The pride parades, the drag shows I went to growing up. I mean, by growing up, I mean like I haven't been to one in probably 10 years or so. Because no, I was at one not that long ago. Probably like the last 6 years or so again then. But prior to that, I mean, I on and off went to several because I had a lot of gay friends, a lot of like just new people and stuff that went to those things. I've been to several parades, even though I hate parades. I strongly dislike parades in general. Not gay parades, just I just don't like parades at all. I don't like straight ones. I don't like gay ones. I don't like Christmas ones. I don't like Thanksgiving ones.
Well, I'm from Louisiana. I love a parade.
No, I'm anti-parade. I just find them to be the most boring, tedious things in the world. Um, it's just like what we just gonna stand there in the street and watch people
Well, no,
walk
y'all
by. Like,
then
oh,
y'all must not have had the cool floats where they were throwing all the good shit.
I mean, they throw beads and candy if you want to scramble on the ground
Yeah,
for
as a
a piece of
kid,
double bubble.
that is good shit.
I
It's
mean,
like
I
it's like
liked parades
Halloween
until I
trick or
was like
treat.
8 or so. I liked them until I was like 8 or 9, but I didn't care for them much after that. I just kind of think we should get rid of parades as a society. I think we're
No,
past it.
no, you're gonna have to fight me. Not coming from New Orleans like I do.
I mean, Mardi Gras is a parade on super steroids, though. That's a much different thing. Even though I can't. The one
But
time I
it's
was
still a
there, I
parade.
didn't enjoy it.
If
but
you had your way, it's still a parade.
The one time I was there, this was pre-Katrina or anything, and man, I don't know. I being down there in New Orleans on Mardi Gras was the whole place felt dirty and sticky and just gross, and everybody out there was all being gross and everything, and I don't know, it wasn't my thing. I'm not like a huge like crowds person though. I don't mind it so much. I'll go to like theme parks or this or that, but I'm not huge into crowds. I like people, but I don't really care for like just large masses of them. You know, it's but they're always so loud, everything like that. Where it's always so loud, you can't talk to anybody, you can't meet anybody. That's why I don't understand why people.
Dionysian, and it's to blend into the collective energy.
Well, I don't care for it, but it's to each their own. Yeah, I know that phrase is out there, Patty, about a woman face. Yeah, I don't know who's using it for what reasons. I mean, I've heard people call Dylan Mulvaney woman face before.
Yeah, me too.
But I don't
He
know.
kind
that
of
it's-
is.
Oh, definitely.
Ooh.
I don't know that it really makes much difference to people though. I was trying to think if I saw anything else. Oh, what are we gonna watch on Friday? I know we're doing True
Oh,
Detective
I was
tomorrow.
thinking about that. In fact, I was looking at my old list, before we move on to the new list that I was making with you to see if there's
Mhm.
anything crucial off of there we should. Let me find
Sure.
it. Let's see. We're watching True Detective. I have Eyes Wide Shut, The Grifters, Wild at Heart, 12 Monkeys. Oh, maybe 12 Monkeys. I'd like to do the other Charlie Kaufman movies at some point.
Sure. Yeah. I love
What's
all
Eating
those movies.
Gilbert Grape, American Beauty. So that's the ones I had on the old list that me and Emma were making.
Sure. Yeah. Eternal Sunshine would be great to revisit.
Do you think
The
we
only
should
one.
start with Malkovich though and work our way up since there's
I
kind
don't
of
know.
an
I don't think it would. I
artistic
don't think it matters
progression?
what order you see them in, my personally. But you can. We can watch whatever one you want to. I'm always down to watch a Charlie Kaufman joint
Because
anytime.
that's another thing. Paul said we can do them as events too. Our movie days.
Cool.
So
Sounds
whichever one
fun.
we pick, I'm going to write it up as an event in his
Well,
community.
if you want to watch something like I guess on a theme of any sort, in terms of not that nothing has been on any kind of theme recently, so it doesn't really matters. But I was thinking about saying the movie The World's End is a really strong individualist movie, really anti-collectivist, and has a really kind of a big point about community, a small community fighting against a large collective. Ultimately, is what the movie comes down to. So, that one's definitely one to I think we should watch soon, especially if you haven't seen it. Um, but I don't really have any preferences beyond that.
Okay. I'm messaging her right now to
Sure.
get her thoughts.
We could since this is October, we could do some horror movies or something. We do some.
Something
Have you ever seen
spooky.
Suspiria? Either one of them?
Yeah, my ex tried to watch it with me. I don't do horror well. It was
Okay.
too horror. But I was
See,
thinking of Eyes Wide Shut just because of the.
that
I
one
don't want to
works
say
too.
too much for people that haven't seen it, but
Yeah,
it's a Christmas movie, but it would make just as good of a Halloween movie.
definitely. I mean, have you seen? Are you talking about the remake of Suspiria, so the one that came out about in 2018? Or are you talking about the
They
original
no,
from
I
the
didn't even know they
70s?
remade it. The original one, it was it Dario Argento.
Yeah, it's really it was too horror for you because it's not a very gory
Yeah. Plus,
film or
my ex,
anything.
who's a psychopath, was sitting there narrating the whole thing and getting a hard on
Oh,
through the
okay.
whole movie.
Ooh, that's kind of weird. It's not a very violent film. In my opinion, the original Suspiria, not the remake. The remake is really interesting in its own right, but the
It's
original
not the
one
violence;
is
it's the
gorgeous.
horror. There's a difference between because good horror doesn't always require violence to be disturbing.
That's true. It's just I don't think it's a very it's in the horror genre, but I don't consider it to be a horror film really. I consider it more of like a Technicolor visual feast. I saw it when they did a re-release of it and they did a 4K restoration of it. And they did played it here at the Texas Theater, which is the theater that I know the guy that shot JFK. He was apprehended there. No, I mean the guy that shot
I don't know.
Oswald was apprehended there.
That's not going to mean
Anyway,
anything. I'm not a
okay.
conspiracy.
Anyway, so JFK was assassinated by Oswald supposedly, and the guy that shot him was apprehended at this movie theater, so it's historical. Anyway, but it's like a really cool old school movie theater, and that was probably my favorite theatrical movie going experience ever. I don't consider it to be slightest bit horrific or scary though. It's just like it's a dumb movie when it comes to plot wise. It's literally a girl goes to study at a ballet school that's run by witches. That's it. That's the whole movie. I mean,
I'm looked at the trailer just now of the remake. It looked pretty cool.
the remake's really cool. It's much more like about a cult and much more about like well, it has a lot of like satanic type stuff and stuff like that. It's very gory, very
Oh,
gory. The original's not. This one is very gory. You don't like the gory?
yeah, I don't like the gore. We also talked about some Jodorowsky movies.
Oh yeah, definitely. I love those. Any of them. Um, I haven't seen Santa Sangre since it came out. I haven't seen.
I
We
haven't
could just
seen
watch the.
the new ones. I think I watched Rainbow Thief, but I haven't seen any of the ones after that.
I haven't seen that one yet. Um, But
It's pretty. It's along the lines of all his other stuff.
I'd be perfectly happy just to watch the documentary about his Dune thing. Jodorowsky's Dune.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. I'm kind of glad he didn't make Dune because the documentary itself of him not making it was so good.
Yeah, it really is, and it's also one of those things, much like that Meow Wolf thing I talked about the other day. Is It's a very inspiring documentary for me. I've watched it several times because I love to watch anything that's about people that are doing creative things and are really passionate about it and they get a lot of joy from it, and it's not just like about the struggles of the artist, but like people that get that are really happy talking about the things that they get excited about. I find that it's just intoxicating to me. I could watch I try to incorporate those kind of themes into everything I write because it's just like it's the kind of things I want to see myself. So I love any show or anything about people that are doing a job, but they really love doing it. There's this show that Aaron Sorkin did in the '90s called Sports Night. I don't like sports. I'm not a sports person. It's a show about people that make a sports center type show, and I love that show because the characters are so enthusiastic about the things they do. They're so happy to do those things, and they derive joy from it. And I find that to be, I don't know. I like watching that as general as a setting for anything. And there's very few shows like that. There's very few shows that feature characters doing something they love to do. It's always like doing something they hate, like The Office. Or
Well,
something that
because
everyone's just
plot like drama relies on conflict to propel the plot.
if you need to make the characters miserable to derive drama from it, then you're
You
not
don't have to
doing
make
the
them
right
miserable,
thing.
but you just have to have some kind of conflict or plot.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's lots of conflict in like Sports Night or even his other show, Studio 60 and the Sunset Strip, was pretty good. It got worse as it went along, but the early episodes of that, and there's a few other shows that managed to pull it off. Parks and Rec is actually pretty good for that sort of thing too. As
I've
it goes
tried to
along.
watch that. I never could
Did you
get
try to
into
start
it. I
with the
don't
first
know why.
season? Because the first season's terrible. The
Um,
first season could turn about anybody off to it. It gets good around
well,
season
then they
3.
need to make better first seasons so people like me won't get lost.
I don't blame you. I mean, I actually stopped watching it during the first season and then heard it got good later and went back and started watching the second season.
Like if they make a crappy first season, why am I gonna think to watch the other seasons?
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, there's
That's
a
what
lot of
another
shows
one of
like
my
that.
a movie I like a lot is The Straight Story by David Lynch. That's not conflict driven, really.
No, it's not. It's a
It's
good movie.
plot driven, but it's very well done.
And it's such a compelling film, being for something that sounds so boring. If you hear the description of it, it's like that can't be good. And then you find
Oh
out David
no.
Lynch directed it, and then you're like, oh well, this has got to
Just
be weird.
that's one of those movies that just every frame I just enjoy. It's just it's something to digest frame by frame. I get a
I agree.
pleasure.
It has this really warm, lived-in vibe to it. It's like a movie you can watch in kind of just like a cozy state that feels.
Yeah, it's the one he did for Disney.
Yeah, I know. And the movie feels like a warm blanket. It's like I feel like he did that movie too, just kind of prove he could still do movies like that. It's just like because people probably thought, oh, David Lynch can't make something that normal or anything like that, and he made it something so normal it's still very David Lynch.
Yeah.
It's like a piece of Americana or something like that. There's a few movies like that I go back to in that sense of like they're like warm, comforting movies. Like, you ever seen Local Hero? That's a good one.
What's it called?
Local Hero. It's from the '80s.
Global
It's
Hero?
Local Hero. Local Hero.
Never heard of it.
It's about this guy that I can't remember the reason he has to go to this tiny little like Irish town. I can't remember the story of it is anymore. He has to go there for some reason. He ends up meeting someone, falling in love, and all that sort of thing. But it's just very, I don't know. It's just such a good movie. Let's see, it was 1983. It's got it's a Scottish comedy, but it's set in like an Irish village. But I'm trying to remember what the he sent about an American oil company. That's right. It's like this American oil company representative that goes to this tiny little like Irish town to try to secure some rights, just some drilling rights or something on the land. And that's pretty much the story of it. It's just the whole movie is just kind of like it's very kind of slow, and it doesn't have any like big comedy set pieces to it, despite it being ostensibly a comedy. And it's a good movie. It's I know there wouldn't be much reason to like for us to watch and do a stream on it or anything because there's not much to say about it. It's just a nice, sweet movie.
Speaking of comedies, I noticed that my list is pretty low in comedies. Two of my favorites, though, I love the Christopher Guest movies. For Your Consideration,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably my favorite, and then Noises Off, that movie version they made of the play.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. I don't
I
know if
think
I've
Carol
seen the movie
Burnett's in
version.
it, John Ritter.
It's pretty good. I think I don't know if I've seen it before or not. I can't say, but oh yeah, Christopher Guest movies, The Best in Show, Waiting for Guffman, they're all great. Even even though I guess he didn't technically direct it, but Spinal Tap's good as well. So I think they're doing some sort of revival, like a Netflix or a Hulu like series. It's supposed to be an updated
They
Spinal Tap.
did. He did a series. I forgot what it was called.
Oh, they did.
Look him up. Yeah, I watched it on. It was many years ago.
Damn, I didn't even realize.
I think it was some of the same cast.
Well, I mean, they really toured as Spinal Tap. I know they really did that.
Was it Mascots? No, Mascots was a film. Was it Family Tree? Must have been Family Tree.
I
It
was
was
looking
8
to see if I could see
episodes.
anything, but it wasn't actually about Spinal Tap then, huh?
No, not the series. It was a little family drama, but it was
Okay.
his style of filmmaking. Like I don't know if it was improvisational or not, but it was his style of comedy. So it looks like Mascots is the last thing he did
Christopher Guest.
in 2016.
The Family Tree. There is that one here. Oh, I think I saw this show. I forgot about that. It had Chris O'Dowd. I did see this show. I
It was
forgot all
funny
about
when
its
I watched. I
existence.
liked it and it was funny, but when it was over, I didn't
Yeah,
remember anything about it.
yeah.
So
I
it
completely
wasn't
forgot it
memorable. It
existed
was
until you said that
entertaining,
just
but
now.
not memorable.
That's crazy. I'm like looking at the I'm looking at like the I saw like the logo for it, and it kind of triggered like the memory, and then I see it had Chris O'Dowd in it, who is also in one of my other favorite shows, the IT Crowd. You ever seen that?
I still want to see the Before Sunrise trilogy, and Boyhood was really good too. And
Your boy's good.
also Tree of Life and what's his name? Terrence Malick
Yeah,
did one or two after Tree of Life that
I've seen
I
them
didn't
all.
see. Although I did see Queen of Cups.
Yeah, that one was tough to get through. What movie just did you like it? I could not get into
I
it.
thought it was visually. It was a visual.
Visually,
It
it was
was like
good.
Prospero's books. It was a moving painting.
Yeah, to a degree, I guess. Yeah, I've seen To the Wonder. I saw Song to Song.
I didn't see
I
those,
saw Knight of Cups, Tree of Life, Towards a
but I really
Dream in
like
the
Tree of Life. I
USA.
wouldn't. In fact, let me add that one. I wouldn't mind seeing that
Sure.
again.
Yeah, I'm trying to see like if he had anything else. He got A Hidden Life. That one looked depressing as hell. I mean, that'd be good, but
Might have to do 2 movie nights a week to get through them all.
yeah, I mean, we can. I mean, anytime you guys or if you just want to watch a movie or something, just let me know anytime. I'm probably around. I'm down to watch a movie whenever.
Thursday, no, I have not. Let me look it up. Never heard of it.
I think I have seen that movie actually. Oh yeah, Thomas Jane, Aaron Eckhart. I think I have seen that. It was
I like Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah, I like him too. I'm
Pauline
trying to remember
Korshkova.
anything about it. You have to understand, like I have seen so many movies. Dear God, I used to work at a video store, and I literally would take home like several movies a night and watch them and go back to work and do it all over again. I used to do that with Netflix too, because I was trying to cram movies into my head for film school, and you know, and now I've seen so many movies. It really had to. Yeah, I've definitely seen this movie there. I remember the cover of it and everything. I don't remember a single thing about it, but I remember renting it once. So it's probably good though. Yeah, I believe you if you think it's good, man.
Oh, I forgot. Today's my men's group too in an hour.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I need to remember.
Yeah, we can wrap up in like 30 minutes or something, so you can go get ready for the men's group. I'll try to stop by too.
Evolution of Trust. No. And I'm in a board game group now, and we're looking for games to play. So I'm looking it up.
I think I've heard it before. Heard of it, maybe from you the other day, John.
Oh, another thing we talked about was, you know how Paul has his centrist, what is it? The silent majority land, whatever's on the right, Christofascia or something. It's like making a game or a board game or something of it. And I told him about your idea of doing a role play game of communism or socialism. So that's another possibility too that we can get off the ground. Oh, I have seen this. It's a little online game. It's what is it? Prisoner's Dilemma or yeah, I tried to play it the other day, but I didn't know what I was doing. If you put a coin in the machine, the other player gets 3 coins and vice versa. What happens if you don't put in a coin? You just don't get anything? Oh, and then the other player would get 3, but you would get nothing. Why wouldn't both people keep putting in coins?
Yeah.
Oh, because it comes out of their stash, so they want to hang on to their 1 coin. Let me see what happens if I cooperate.
It's a game once you put it on the screen.
Okay, I wonder if I'll get copyrighted for it.
No, you shouldn't. People do Let's Plays all the time. That's like a huge genre. Gameplay is not.
Oh, that's right. They stream games all the time. Okay, this is my life. I'm streaming a game. Probably the only game I will ever stream. Okay. So my tendency is to cooperate. So we both get money. And he did too. So we both got yay. Okay. So then why would we not want to just keep doing it? What's the advantage of cheating? We could just keep the money flowing forever. Look at that.
Because fear will drive someone eventually to feel like because if you're afraid the other person will cheat and you'll cooperate, and then they'll get.
But the minute he cheats, I'm gonna stop putting in my coin. Like that's gonna end the flow of the money. See, right. He's thinking the same thing. Why did it set me back to 0? Why did it change hats?
I think it ends when you both hit 10. It's a different person now.
So he looks like a cheater. He's probably gonna cheat. Why is he? Oh, he cheated. See, what did I tell you? So then that's gonna make me want to cheat. I'm just going with my initial instinct. So then my impulse is to cheat. I'm like, fuck you. I'm not giving you any more money. But because he got 3 points, so he's gonna win. So that initial cheating is gonna cause him to be ahead.
Yeah.
So it incentivizes self-interest behavior. I hate his hat. Speaking of drag queens, I'm still I'll give everybody a fair shake at least once. Okay, good. All right, cool. Why did he erase him at 8? The cowboy's probably gonna cheat, but I come from cowboy people, so I tend to trust them at first. Oh, okay. The only thing interesting about this game at all is the different hats.
John said this game lasts 30 minutes. I have a hard time believing that I would ever sit here and do this for 30 minutes.
But so far, every time I cooperate, I've come out ahead. Like the cheating was only in reaction to the other guys cheating. Okay, let's see the little Sherlock Holmes lady. I don't think a detective would cheat, would they? So if you keep cooperating, see, look at her. She thinks she's being smart. So is it better for me to cooperate and catch up with her, or to cheat? Because that's just going to put me even further behind. So it kind of incentivizes her selfish behavior, incentivizes me to continue being altruistic. That's fucked up. And she has a detective hat. I hate her so much. I want to cheat on her, but I'll cooperate one more time and then I'll cheat. No, I'm still 4 ahead. Let me cheat. Maybe I've won her trust and now I can cheat. Wait, did she cheat too?
Yeah, she did too.
Fuck, how did she know? I hate her. I hate her so much. Okay, I don't. So my total score is 30, which ain't bad. Well, good, considering I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. None of the outcomes have to intuitionless. It's a great game to play alone and think about. Do you think it models actual is this a good game to model how I interact with actual humans if I'm in these situations? Because I tend to trust that, because I'm very pro social, believe it or not, and pro civilization, and I tend to think that we're all kind of trying to create the best civilization, and so I tend to trust people that they're going to do the thing that maximizes the outcomes for everybody.
Yeah.
But I get screwed constantly. Like I'm constantly getting betrayed and fucked over.
Me too. But I always maintain that initial positivity towards people too, even though it's gotten me burned a lot of times. You think I'd learn, but
because each new person might be different.
Yeah. And plus,
Not all of us,
there's
dear
that
Jeff.
little bit of me that goes,
Not all of us.
why should I change? They're the ones that suck, kind of thing. You know?
But then you start that you're letting them influence you away from your better nature doing that, and I don't want them to have that kind of power.
Perhaps. It seems like the thing that they're doing mostly to influence you is by cheating and therefore making you more cynical towards people. But I feel like I stay hopeful about people in defiance of that kind of shit, because I feel like no matter what, you're being manipulated.
I don't. You think so? Like I'm pretty good at filtering the cheaters out. Like once they cheat, then I filter that out of my life, so that I feel like the ones that are sticking around are the ones that I can trust to be more cooperative.
Yeah. No, what I'm saying is that.
But I've been deceived by even that before too. Because people can cooperate 10 times and then cheat that 11th time.
I mean, once someone has started acting in a bad faith sense towards you, I'm just saying that, like, you can either change your behavior to be cynical like them and act in a bad faith way as well, or you can choose to and therefore let that influence all of your future interactions with people and be defensive all the time. But I tend to keep myself open out of defiance of those people, because fuck them. Why should I let them change the way I am? You know?
Or you would just leave the game.
Well, yeah.
Keep playing it with people that are not cheating.
I'm just talking about people in general in life. I'm not necessarily talking about a game.
But he says, what if you don't know you're being cheated? But in the game, at least, you would know by the amount of coins that come back. So it's easy to identify when somebody cheats you. But in real life, like I could be cheated right now by somebody and not know it.
Yeah. I mean, heck, I got my freaking food stamp stolen the other day, so.
The game is meant to imitate your life. Well, good luck with that. The people I've been cheated like in the gay community, especially in Vegas, because Vegas is like Pirates Cove. It's just it draws every con artist in the world. So Vegas, you're always watching your back.
Yeah.
So I've been cheated like in the gay community, and I've been cheated by roommates. I've been cheated by people I've gotten close to, but rarely by strangers. Like it's usually people that I've built some kind of trust with first, and it's not always deliberate cheating. Sometimes it's just conflict that causes things to take a different turn and become less cooperative.
Yeah, just someone acting in bad faith or being manipulative.
But most of the times I've been cheated have been in Vegas by friends that because in Vegas nobody's real friend. It's like Secret Survivor all the time. And if somebody's talking to you in Vegas or saying hi or being nice to you, the first thing you better ask yourself is what they want from you. Vegas politics is completely different than any city I've ever lived in. And I learned to navigate it for 8 years. And that's why having even one person that you can trust in that town it makes all the difference.
I had a few people I could trust there for a while until the economy crashed. I lost everybody disappeared though, but just because they're gay doesn't
Just
mean
because they're
trustworthy.
gay doesn't mean. Oh, I never did. I never thought most gay people I know are shady as hell because gay people learn to lie very early.
Well, I can
They
see
know how
what
to
you're saying
mask
there.
and
I never
lie
think
and
that. I was
hide.
just gonna say I don't
Yeah.
trust. No, almost no one's that trustworthy. But just in general, what were you saying? Strangers of the recipe.
They just don't have. Why do they always pretend like they can read me so well?
I don't know. I wouldn't presume that myself, but I mean I typically am a pretty good read of people, but I mean I'm very empathic, so I constantly putting myself in other people's place in different ways. So I'm just something I do really is just as much as a writer as it is as an empath or
That's
whatever.
kind of like theory of mind too.
Yeah, pretty similar from what I know of theory of mind. It's an interesting little illustration of game theory. I don't know it's really makes much of a good game to be honest. I get the point. I mean I even wrote one of my songs on the SoundCloud. It has a breakdown and a verse that's specifically about game theory. It's something I've studied and stuff. But they project
I read when I was in my 20s. Is it what's his name? Eric? Is that transactional analysis?
What's
Is
that?
it the same thing as game theory? I read his book when I was.
I think game theory's been around for longer than I think I've heard of. I've heard the term transactional analysis before, but I don't know
Eric
much about
Byrne,
it.
that's his name.
But game theory is something that's been around since I think the 1800s or something like that. Maybe it's newer than that, but I'm pretty sure as a concept it's been around for a really long time. It's basically just the prisoner's dilemma thing, which is basically or that coin thing. It's about the same thing.
And I watch a lot of those reality shows too, and they're always having to make those kind of decisions.
Yeah.
Even like picking someone to vote off the island each week is a form of game calculation.
Definitely. It
And
definitely
then they complexify it with different twists and
it's like large
game
group
elements.
game theory. It's still the same thing. Yeah, if you as much as you're into those kind of shows, those kind of strategy things and everything going on, then yeah, you probably have a pretty innate understanding of just by that alone.
I mean, it doesn't help me in real life. I'm constantly getting blindsided. I always said if I went on one of those shows, I would either be the first one out or I would make it pretty far. If they don't catch me right away, then that means I've probably gotten enough of the sense of the situation to carry me far. But usually, my pattern is I become a target very early because I stand out so much. And the ones that can't harmonize quickly enough in the beginning tend to be early targets.
Oh, are you a fan of Bill Watterson by chance? Calvin and Hobbes?
No.
Okay, never mind.
I'm not a fan of comics in general.
I mean, I'm not either. Just Calvin and Hobbes was special for most people. I think most people think the same that way.
My friends read him, but I don't. I know he's like an imaginary cat or some tiger or something.
It's a boy and his imaginary best friend tiger, yeah. But I mean, it's more about like the art of it and everything. There's a lot of it's his strip was very conceptual and or, I don't know, almost anti-conceptual. I mean, it wasn't confined to like usually like 4 panels like joke things. It's more it had more art to it. And anyway, he just did the released the first thing he's done in 22 years since he retired from the script, and he's released a graphic novel, and I thought it would look really cool actually.
Comics
Mystery.
distract me. I can't process pictures and text at the same time. They it's too distracting. I need either a book or a movie, but I can't do both.
I mean, do you not do well with subtitled movies then?
Subtitle movies I do fine with.
Seems like that would be the
But
same
I'm
thing.
not depending on the subtitles to carry the story. A comic, you have to interpret what's going on in the picture, and you have to read the text at the same time. And the text is like not always positioned linearly, so you have to figure out which bubble to read. Yeah, Richard
Yeah.
Hatch. He was he was a Machiavelli.
It was the first
And
year,
he
right?
but then he got arrested for tax evasion, so he wasn't that good at the game of
Yeah,
life.
that's for sure.
He tried to outplay the IRS.
Doesn't work out for many people, to be honest. There's somebody's posting that debate con in one of the discords. It's got Andrew Wilson on it versus Matt Dillahunty, and
Oh, let me see. I'm looking at it now.
I don't recognize any of
Which
the rest
I
of
don't
the
even
people.
know Matt Dillahunty. I hear his name a lot.
Yeah, I don't know who he is either.
Oh, this is going to
I've
be
heard
in
the name.
person.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
like
Dallas. You could
It's
go.
in Dallas, yeah.
I wonder if PF's going to be there.
I won't have any money to go. These things tend to be pretty expensive, actually. But yeah, it's pretty cool though. For all I know, Andrew could live here in this area. I have no idea.
No, he's in Michigan
Oh, okay.
with Machine, but I don't think he's in Detroit.
Detroit seems like a scary place to live. Man, I'm tired today.
Yeah, I know. I've been having the sleeps all day.
I just feel I don't know. I've been waking up feeling really sore last few days for some reason. I don't know why. I haven't done anything to make myself sore, but I'm just got my fingers crossed. I'm just really hoping for this doctor's appointment on Thursday. They're at least get me
Yeah,
back my
me too.
medications.
Me too. I hope they get you on whatever you need.
Yeah, me too. I was doing that check-in for it earlier, and I was just like putting in all of the. That's kind of cool. Like the Parkland system has this app called My Chart, and it'll tell you all of your. You gotta have that there too.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'd never seen that until just now. I mean, until this earlier this year. It's the first time I'd ever heard of it before. I didn't know that was a thing that they had. But anyway, you can check into your doctor's appointment there, and you can go ahead and like write in there all the things you want to have addressed in the doctor's appointment, so that you don't have to like remember everything. Because I tend to, for some reason, I go blank when I go to the doctor a lot of times, and forgetting to ask about certain things. And so that's kind of cool. Kind of gives me time the next couple days. If I forget anything, I can go back and add it in there. Bad strategy to try to take on the bespectacled enforcement arm of the federal mafia. What are you talking about, dude?
He's some of the IRS.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you mentioned that thing about Richard Hatch. Yeah, okay. I was confused. I was like, who? Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. I feel like I'll probably come to the men's group tonight. A little while.
Okay. I even thought about streaming them, but I don't know if everybody there would want to be on stream.
And we could always
But it
just,
would be nice to stream a men's conversation.
I would think, yeah, I would like to do that myself. I think those kind of things. I think there's a lot of. I think it's very valuable, and plus, I like having these things recorded because my memory's been so bad the last few years. I like to have it recorded there, so if I need to go back and look at something, and I think the conversations we have on streams tend to be very, I don't know, very insightful and interesting conversations. So I know, and there's this part of me that feels like it's weird to try to like what they call it, like contentize every interaction or something like that. But it's not really for the content's sake. It's more just because I think there's something valuable there that
Mhm.
it's kind of something we never had the ability to do at any other point in history. Like it was all like filming things or whatever was expensive for most, most of the time we were growing up. So like, and it would be weird you know, to go to like your friend's house and just sit there and like set up a camera to record you guys talking, but doing it through stream and something like that, for some reason it doesn't have that weird connotation to it. I don't know. It feels much more natural to record that. Dear God, I'm ascending again. I don't know why it got so bright all of a sudden. It's like looks like I'm being subsumed by the light. God,
Well, maybe we can do like a men's one day a week. That would be Men's Day.
I think sounds like a good idea.
Because I want to start doing themed conversations, and that way we can announce them in advance, and people that want to talk about that one topic can show up.
We can do like hangout streams on the weekends or something like that, where we just kind of do the things like we have been doing, just kind of like anybody can show up and hang out and just talk about whatever, but then do more focused ones through the week. That sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah, and we can do that relationship thing we talked about too.
Yeah, but they used to do they used to do Loveline back in the MTV days. They used to do that on like Friday or Saturday nights. I can't remember. I mean, it started out as a radio call-in show. It was a radio show that Dr.
Was
Drew
that
did.
Dr. Drew?
Yeah, Dr. Drew. It was a radio show that he did, but they did it on MTV, like on like I think it was Sunday nights. Sunday nights. I used to watch that. I used to work at a well, I did it a few times actually. I worked at a motel or hotel, like did the overnight shift, the little night audit, and it was always on whenever I was working. When I was working at one of those places, like every time. Well, I mean, it's just because I've worked over the weekends, I guess. But they used to play reruns of it a lot too, of older episodes of it at night, and I just end up like I got into the habit of watching it every night, and there was some pretty interesting conversations and call-ins they had in that show. It was memorable.
And it never interested me because I never cared about people's relationship. The sex stuff did, like with it Susan Sue lady, but the relationship stuff never did because
There's a lot of sex stuff.
I couldn't understand it. Most of them seemed codependent and dysfunctional, and I couldn't understand why people couldn't figure out on their own whether or not to leave these relationships and why they had to call other people and drag them into their drama. But I did used to listen to Dr. Laura all the time. I was a huge Dr. Laura fan, and she did the same thing, but she would tell them like how stupid they were when they call in with their relationship problems.
Well, I mean, that was the whole thing because it was Adam Carolla that used to do the show with Dr. Drew, and he was the straight shooter one. He was the one that would just tell people to get their shit.
Yeah,
together.
I would be the same way. I don't have a lot of sympathy for dysfunction because people are every dysfunctional relationship I've seen, including my own, but I get out of them pretty early. People are it takes two to keep those going.
Yeah, it does. There were some really interesting call-ins they used to have in that show, though. They had some people calling out some weird stories. I mean, who knows if they were made up or not? But like, it was just like really sometimes the call-ins weren't like just like typical relationship or sexual dysfunctions things. Sometimes they got weird. It was usually pretty interesting. Anyway, I hope we get some people to call in though. I would like to maybe if we start being able to spread some do some more partnerships like you were talking about and stuff. Maybe expand the audience.
Maybe we could go on Alex Playing with Fire. It's a more of a dating themed podcast, and we could if you're good at making flyers or stuff, we could start making flyers for specific types of streams, and then we could promote them on social media.
Sure, I could definitely do that. I mean, I've done a lot of it in the past. I used to literally make actual paper flyers and go promote our shows and stuff. Whenever I used to do, I used to play band stuff. I used to love making flyers and shit. I'd made like 6 or 7 different versions of a flyer for one show a lot of times, and just you know, print them all out, then shuffle them all together and go fan them out different places. And I used to promote the hell out of our shows whenever I used to play music and shit. I got a had a couple of them that actually got pretty good turnouts to them too. We had like got about 200 people at one of our Christmas shows and stuff like that. It was pretty good. I mean, it's nothing for back in the day though, for total grassroots, no name band that we just made up that week or something like that. For us to bringing that many people was pretty cool. I think it was a real community effort type thing back then too.
Yeah, the DIY aesthetic.
Definitely.
What is YMH?
Is it Your Mom's House? I think that's a big podcast.
Oh, never heard of it.
It's a comic. I think can't remember his name.
Tom Segura. Oh,
Yeah, Tom Segura.
he's my favorite comedian. Yeah, I think I did. I think someone turned me onto this during COVID, and I watched a little bit of it. I love Tom Segura.
Yeah, he's good. His wife's funny too.
Oh, that's his wife, Christine.
Yeah.
Kitsitsky. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't know Dr. Drew was doing stuff with them, but that's cool, John. Yeah, Christina's really funny. I watched. I was just the other day. I watched some of her stand up. It came up my YouTube algorithm. There was like a 15-minute clip that came up there. It was pretty good too. I mean, I've seen other stuff from her before, but she's pretty funny. Well, this has been a real laid back stream today, but maybe it'll get more lively tonight after.
That's right. Yeah, I guess this is our Monday stream.
Yeah,
but
if
has anyone
Monday
wants
energy to it.
Yeah, if anyone wants to go to the men's group, just email me and I'll send you the link because that's coming up in about half an hour. Got Burst Teacup. I watched the Netflix show, The Cabin in the Woods or something, where they take comedians out to this cabin for the weekend, and Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer were on that one.
Yeah, they do that. They do that Two Bears podcast or something like that. I can't remember something called something like that.
That's the one that I watched during COVID. The Two Bears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're funny guys. I mean, like, I think they're all good friends with Rogan and that whole that whole kind of cabal of podcasters / comedians.
Don't say cabal.
Yeah, it's just a word, It's not like it's gonna bring like the woke skulls out or anything, at least. Well, anyway, yeah, I'll see you at the men's group. Just send me the link on Discord. I'll send that. I'm gonna go see
if it's the same. It's the same link every week, but I'll post it.
Oh, it's the same one. Okay, well, let me see. Make sure I can find it.
I'll post it in Paul's server.
That's fine. I didn't really.
Okay, well, we're gonna go get ready for men's group, and I work tomorrow, and I'm not sure if they need me all day or not. So if they need me all day, I won't be able to stream. No problem. If they don't, then I'll stream tomorrow afternoon sometime.
Well, like I said, I'll be at the doctor's appointment at 9 on Thursday, so I'll probably still even be able to stream then if you want to. But yeah,
I think Thursday I can do it later. Let me see what I got going on.
Yeah.
Thursday is Anton's PF Jung. Jung group.
Do that then.
At 7 p.m. So we could stream before then.
Yeah, do one early in the afternoon, then do that thing. Sounds
good.
Maybe see, I haven't seen Anton online lately.
Get drums. Yeah, I wish. Okay. Well.
All right. Yeah. See you guys later. Bye.
Yeah. Bye, everyone. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We'll do it again either tomorrow or Wednesday. And then I think that's it. I don't have any announcements. Anton's doing his Carl Jung group Thursday evening, 7 p.m. Central. And we're doing movie night Friday. I'm still not sure what movie we're doing yet. But other than that, if you're a man, come hang out of the men's group.
They have to be a man, though. Can't.
Yes, whatever that is.
Whatever that means.
Anymore.
Whatever that means for you. So yeah, you should, if you're gonna play a song out, you should play what's it called? I don't remember the name of it. The one if you have it, the one called Maudlin City. That was the one that if you skip to like, see if I can find the right.
I don't have it on StreamYard, but I can play from SoundCloud.
You didn't have that one? Okay, that's fine.
It was too large to upload.
Okay, that's cool. I was gonna say that's the one that I did that it was that has the verse about game theory in it. It's like around the 3-minute 40 mark, but yeah.
Well, I'll start it from there. What's it called?
Maudlin City. I think he said you couldn't upload it though.
Oh, okay, yeah. The what mark? The 3
minutes 40 seconds or so.
All right. Okay, I'll play us out on that and cue it up from there. I have to share the stream. Okay, here's Chris's song, Maudlin City, to end the show on. Is it playing? Why is it playing?
It sounds really bad for some reason. It sounds bad.
I have to change my sound. Hang on.
Don't worry about it. It's not worth it, man. That sounded bad through there. I don't know. It sounded way worse than normal. Last time you played stuff through SoundCloud, it didn't sound bad.
348, you said? Here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not playing right.
I forgot to share. Yeah, you're right. It does sound bad. It's on SoundCloud itself.
I know. I don't know why it's like that. That's weird. I hope that track isn't messed up or something somehow, because I tried to listen to mine just now and it also sounded terrible. I don't know.
Well, I'll pick a different one for today. All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Get the fuck back before you're torn apart. Your pact with the devil ain't stronger than the holy arts. And don't be trying to bring that shit in here where we operate the knowledge that inspires your darkest fears. You sit there bragging, wear some robe you made. What you gonna do? You fools will